What's up, everybody? It is Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Guapo, sitting beside me, fresh off of his trip to WT, future buff himself, Baby Brush.
Baby Brush.
Sitting over beside him, behind the screens, making everything look good, it is the one and only The Guy.
What's up, guys?
We have got a great show for you tonight. I've got a special guest coming in. The bro that runs the show over at SCP, Squared Circle Pro. We're going to have Rick with us tonight. He'll be coming in just a little bit later. Want to say a special thank you and what's up to Ross and the guys from Labor 12 for our intro music. The track's called Head Rush. The album's called Monsters. You can get it on all your streaming platforms. Make sure you check it out. Just banger hits all the way through. So a couple of things to cover before we get started with our recap. I got a few things coming up. There's nothing better, in my opinion, than the opportunity to see live wrestling, and you've got a couple of chances to do that. BCW is bringing you Head Games on May the 6th, right here in Levelland, TMW Event Center. This card is stacked, and I'm excited about it. You've got the Bear Hug Challenge. It's Scar versus a mystery opponent. A grudge match between Alton Black and Damian Blood. If there's a chair involved and you hear something that sounds like a shotgun blast, just know it is what it is. We've got the finish to the old school tag tournament. We've got the Resistance versus Three Ring Circus. Somebody's walking out of there as old school tag team champions. We've got the War Chief versus Emilio Guzman. The Texas Terror, Damo McCullough versus the Living Proof, Justin Taylor. Princess Deathwish versus Lilith Blood. That one was actually just announced last week. And then, of course, the BCW Texas Championship. Wild Card versus Ryan Justice versus Logan Knight. There will be a finish to this match. It's not they're not going to count. There's no timeout. There's no DQ. Somebody is going to win the BCW Texas title that night. And what an announcement we got last week on that. Whoever wins this match, July the 1st, faces Ring of Honor talent Sledge right here in Levelland, TMW Event Center. Cannot wait for that. That is huge. So make sure you get your tickets for that one. That's May the 6th, BCW Head Games. A little further on into the month, on May 20th, we have Squared Circle Pro bringing you Tornado Slam over at Jake's. This one's going to be a lot of fun. You've got a Lubbock street fight. It's Damo with Nolan Phillips versus Phoenix. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see Phoenix, but this guy is massive. He is so huge. We've got a grudge bout. It's Elsey Mox versus a member of the Chili Boys. It's Dylan Scott's choice on that one. Special challenge, Justin Taylor, the Living Proof against Nate Collins. And this will be Nate Collins' Squared Circle Pro debut, so you're definitely going to want to see that. We've got a tag team championship match, Anything Goes, Bloodlust versus Los Crudos versus Three Ring Circus. Now, a few weeks ago, we were at one of the Squared Circle Pro shows, and we got to see this match start. I got cut a little short, so we're going at it again. And if you were there and you were able to see what happened in that one, this match is going to be crazy. It's probably going to be my favorite match of the night. That's the one I'm waiting. We've got a grudge match, Aaron Harmies versus Reggie Lincoln. We've got the Squared Circle Pro West Texas Women's Championship match with Gypsy and Nova Phoenix. That's another one that got set up at the last one we were at. Nova Phoenix came out, had a few words with Gypsy during her match. And then this match was set up at the last one. I'm really, really excited about this one. Yeah, this is the one Baby Bros wants to see the most. Squared Circle Pro Championship match. Your champ, Ryan Justice, versus the Latin lover himself, Tino Valentino. This match is going to be crazy, and you're going to want to get your tickets for that. And who knows, when we bring Rick on here in a few minutes, he might just have a little surprise for us on that. I'm getting corrected in the chat here. It's pronounced Harms. So it's Aaron Harms versus Reggie Lincoln in the grudge match. So make sure you pick up your tickets for both of those, because there is no feeling like watching live wrestling. It's been a week. What can I say? It's been a long week.
Yeah.
So we're going to get started in our recap. We'll start with Raw with the man himself, Baby Bruce.
All right. So to open up Raw this last week, had, of course, Rey Mysterio coming out to said a few words. Dom came out to not really a pop, but a very loud liken to it of booze. So then after that, they cut to commercial, all that. Finn Balor comes out, and Finn Balor and Rey Mysterio have a match, and some tomfoolery is pulled, and the Judgment Day,
was it?
yeah, tomfoolery, Judgment Day, tomfoolery, same thing. So Finn Balor won the match, and him and Dom were just taunting Ray all the way back to the ramp. But afterwards, they had the women's title match for the women's tag team titles, and we got to see Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez again. Which, if y'all don't remember, at WrestleMania they were part of the women's tag showcase, which was they were the only team that didn't feel slapdash with just random draws from a hat. They looked like they actually had something going on. So they won the title, and they are now the new women's tag champions. And we got to see something that Guapo's been talking about for a while now. We got to see Trish Stratus's heel turn.
She turned on Bex.
Yep. And Lita wasn't there, of course. She got taken out, is what they're saying. So they were, of course, Trish had to fill in, and then she had her heel turn.
Well, and with that, I mean, you had to have seen this coming. You've got Becky, who's all the time, I'm the man, I'm the one, I'm the man. When Trish is the one that broke all the glass ceilings. So at some point, you knew she was going to get tired of hearing about how Becky's the man.
Yep, and now that's leading to some more Hall of Famers going at it. So, I mean, I can't complain there at all.
Oh, it's going to be a good match.
And then from one tag team to the other on the men's side, we had Usos versus Alpha Academy. So, obviously, Alpha Academy kind of shaky because they're trying to break them up. And, ain't no better way to demoralize the team than to put them against the Usos.
Fair.
In a minute, the last people that won were KO and Sammy. So
all right, so can we talk for just 1 second about the way Otis, my boy Otis, he's in the ring with Jay, and Jay, he's hitting poses all over the place. He walks to the ring while Jay's trying to sunset flip him, and Ed starts shaking his ass. It was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
I'm telling you, it reminded me of some new.
It does kind of remind me of New Day. It is kind of reminiscent.
But unlike New Day, they took a fat L to the Usos, and obviously the Usos walked out winning. And then my favorite match on the card came up afterwards, which was Bobby Lashley, who's, my goodness, hasn't been in the squared circle in 3 weeks. But finally, we got to see Bobby Lashley again against one of my, more favorite rookies I would say a rookie, Bronson Reed. I mean, Hayes finally getting a little bit of a push since Elimination Chamber.
He's a bit of a beast.
Yeah, that match was nice. They both looked, as Bronson Reed did at Elimination Chamber, he did again here. He's very good at showing his opponent that showing the strengths of his opponent by, looking strong on their weak stuff and making their strong stuff look like it really moved a mountain. And then obviously Bobby Lashley, he knows what he's doing. He's been in the ring a time or two, and he got to show Bronson Reed exactly why he's able to be in a match with Bobby Lashley. They ended up having a double count out, which it was Bobby Lashley, I believe, that put out. First time that he's seen a ref actually do his job in a long time.
Right.
So, props to them because, there's a lot of stuff going about in the wrestling community. They're like, man, I swear they have 1 minute for every second between their count out timer. So it was nice to see that happen, and they got into just a straight up brawl outside. They had security come in, pull them apart. They just two really huge guys. I couldn't pull them apart if I tried my hardest. So they broke through, kept fighting. They finally got them. But
I can't think of a situation where I would put myself in.
Yeah, no, never. I look like a pancake for that week in the podcast, tell you what. But afterwards, we had a pretty interesting match. So to preface this, I feel like this was the match that was affected the most. it was released earlier this week after Raw that due to uh, various issues, the script for Raw had to be heavily changed.
There are a lot of travel issues.
And yeah, not because of Vince McMahon like we would all think. It was actually a lot of travel issues that about half the roster wasn't even there. So, which leads to I think the important part of this match, it was the number one contender match. It was to see who's going to have a future shot at the title against Bianca Belair. So the like highlight of this match was Io Sky. Damage Control, they've kind of fallen off because they get a lot of screen time, but they haven't been put over very much. So what I think they're doing is trying to start splitting them up. We have a Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch feud, so there's no longer that going on with Damage Control, and then those three, it's split up now. So instead of trying to make something out of our new tag champions and all of that, it's Io Sky won the match, but she was against Piper Niven and N.Y.A.M, who, I mean, hasn't been on a week of Raw in a very long time. If y'all remember, she is, what is it called? The faction, what is it called? With OC with AJ Styles. And as y'all know, the main attraction there is AJ Styles, and he's been hurt for a while. Which, I mean, there were speculations that he was going to come back for WrestleMania. So, I mean, showing her in the match, I don't think was planned. I don't think that's exactly what they wanted, to show Io Sky like going crazy and actually being like a really competent, which she is. She was very entertaining to watch. Like they all were, honestly. But her defeating bigger names makes her look like a better wrestler. And the reason that they had her in there is I think that was their choice, because I think AJ Styles is coming back here pretty soon. So they're just kind of putting it in fans' heads. Be like, hey, don't forget, dude's coming back. Then after that was the main event. We had Solo Sikoa and Kevin Owens. Now let me tell y'all, Kevin Owens is very deserving of being a part of the undisputed tag title.
Absolutely.
I know Sami Zayn is like the underdog and gets all the like fan hype, and everyone's like, yeah, but Kevin Owens, I think, is at least by how, maybe it's because of how they built Sami Zayn's character, but I think Kevin Owens is a much more like skillful wrestler. What he does is so impressive. And what made me like realize something crazy was I already knew this about Kevin Owens since he started being a part of the whole Bloodline feud. And then he went up against Solo Sikoa. And now I'll tell you what, I really didn't know too much about Solo Sikoa. I mean, I didn't watch him too much. I was more focused on other people, not the Bloodline. And watching him against Kevin Owens makes me very excited for where they're going, because I know we've had talks. Wap over here has got about a 6-month plan he's been talking about. And Solo Sikoa is a vital part of moving forward with the storylines, and I am confident that that's going to be good.
I will say, if Solo Sikoa ever turns on the Bloodline, Roman Reigns needs to be worried, because this kid has got a rocket strapped to his back.
I know. Now, it was after a hard-fought match. Kevin Owens loses, which I wasn't a fan of, but honestly, it was very believable. Solo looked like a very competent wrestler. Like, he looked like a beast of a man. They both were just going at it, and Solo just won out. Towards the end, it happened to have some Uso interference, but
no.
Before the interference, I mean, I could tell that Solo was going to win. He was getting some good licks in. And then, yeah, obviously Jimmy came in, Jay came in, distracted the ref, and Solo ended up winning the match. Now, we talked about those traveling issues. At this time, it wasn't even a spot. Sami Zayn and Riddle both actually arrived in Seattle about 10 minutes before they 5 minutes before the winning. They were like, Solo won, yeah, ring the bell. They pulled up. So by the time they walked down and got to look at the screen backstage showing what's on the ring, they were like, "Oh my gosh, KO just got destroyed by the Usos. This isn't fair. We gotta go." So then, all the bloodline, all the Usos are stomping out Kevin Owens. And we hear Sami Zayn's music. We see Matt Riddle with him. My goodness. So if y'all don't know, the reason Matt Riddle's been gone the whole time is because Solo killed him. So he's back, already been kind of with that feud with Solo already since he's returned. And now that's just building even more, which I love to see because I love watching Riddle.
Matt Riddle's so awesome.
He's such an amazing, like high flying, like high octane guy. Like, oh man. And him being a part of this big storyline, huge fan. So that is pretty much concluding the card. And aside from, this isn't really a part of Raw, but Vince McMahon made an announcement a couple days ago saying that, they had the issues with the travel and all that, but he wanted to mention that Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, is 100% in control of creative.
He actually sent out a company-wide memo to say that he is not involved with creative, that Paul Triple H Levesque is 100% in.
Yep. So we got that weight off of our shoulders, tell you what.
So what would you grade Raw this week?
All right. So Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
They're impressive, but with the big focus being on tag teams with the main male roster, it felt lackluster. They haven't really had much of a build for me to get a feel for
they've only had the belts for a week.
Yeah. So, and then there was, but getting to see Trish do her heel turn was good. Obviously, the Bobby Lashley match. I think I'm going to give it an A because match quality overall, there was not a bad match. All the matches were great. The number one contention match but that also same with the other women's match. It had some good story behind it. So, it saves itself there. So I'm not going to give it a high A, but A minus.
I can go with A minus, given the fact that they were missing half the roster and still made the show work. The Otis spots that did it for me. Gosh. That was so funny.
It was.
All in all, A minus. I'll go with that. And before we move into Wednesday Night Dynamite, want to say what's up to Mike in the chat. If you're watching and you want to give your opinion on some of the matches or anything we're talking about, feel free to jump in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. If nothing else, just jump in and say hi. You might notice that it's just Bruss and I. Little Guapo is in Austin right now, hanging with family, doing the family hang. So, of course, we miss him. He's not here, but he may jump in the chat a little later. Who knows? I'm showing right now, 7 viewers. I want to thank all of you for being here. Like I said, say hi in the chat. We can get a conversation started. But we're going to move into Wednesday Night Dynamite, and what a dynamite it was. We started off with Darby Allin versus Swerve Strickland, and this match was go from the bell. Like, Darby hit a stunner right out of the gate. Just bam, stunner. And so there was a little bit of interference throughout the match. It was a good match. I haven't ever seen Darby Allin put on a bad match. A lot of back and forth in it. There was some interference from Brian Cage, and him and the Prince got sent to the back by the ref, and then Darby hits the Last Supper and wins the match. So he didn't get any time to really enjoy the win because, of course, Maxwell Jacob Friedman hits the ramp, starts talking, and he tells Darby, I beat you with very simple moves, and you're just not on the level of the devil. And so they go back and forth for a little bit on the mic, and MJF says it comes down to this. The legacy that I'm going to leave is the greatest of all time. And kids, if you're listening, put your earmuffs on. You don't need to hear this. He says that Darby's legacy is going to be Sting's bitch. So this prompts the man himself to come out. Sting comes out, gets in the ring, tells MJF, look, I don't know what you've got going on. I don't know what this daddy daycare stuff is about, but it sounded like a cheerleader and reaches in his jacket and just starts throwing
That
pom
was
poms at him. I was like, what? Where did he get all the pom
Yeah,
poms?
you'd think you'd be able to see something like that.
So he's throwing pom poms at him, and I loved this promo. You know, aside from the pom poms, of course, but Sting tells him straight up, you know, Cody's gone, so your mentor, your cheerleader is gone, and Darby's got a mentor in me, and a young Sting had a mentor in a man named Ric Flair, and he gives thanks to Slick Rick, you know, for putting him on the map.
Oh my god! I gotta talk about this promo. I don't actively watch I just don't sit down and watch the entire AEW every Wednesday. Like there's sometimes that I do, but I would come out and of course I was watching like highlights and clips and all of that. And after I watched it, I watched that promo for the first time, and it was my goodness. I'll be completely honest. I did not think Sting still had that Sting in him, but oh my gosh, it was amazing, like top tier, completely destroyed my expectations.
Spot on there, Gambit. Throw that out there.
And then I could not stop getting like clips on it from YouTube and TikTok and everything. Like I'm telling y'all, it was one of the best promos I've like. It actually put up some amazing. I'm talking like Brian Danielson.
See, I'm not the only
MJF one. Competition. Like, oh my.
Sting has always been able to give a good promo.
Exactly.
And you know, he went further than just a Ric Flair. He said, you know, unlike you, I'm able to evolve. You know, I evolved into the Crow Sting. And from there, we went to the Wolfpack Sting. And he puts up the Wolfpack sign. Yep. He says, you know, love you, Kevin. Looks to the heavens. Love you, Scott. And then gets right in MJF's face and is like, you know, I've still got a little Joker in me as well. He says, you know, but I'm getting old and Showtime's about over. But this man's Showtime is just getting started. So, I mean, it's really, really building up the hype between MJF and Darby Allin. I really, really, really want to see
it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, before we go on anymore, I want to say what's up to Gambit. Glad to see you in the chat, man. What's going on? First time chatter, Kinsey Cohen. Kinsey, what's up? Glad to see you out here. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to keep things rolling along. Our next match was the TNT Championship Open Challenge, and you had Powerhouse Hobbs and Silas Young. It was a big man match. I don't know what else to say about it. It was a big man match. It was a good one. Don't get me wrong, but it was a big man match. And as the match ends, you see Wardlow making his glorious return. He's on the screen destroying Hobbs's car with a forklift. Yeah. You know, you'd think that would upset somebody. Well, so Wardlow's going to go after Silas Young, going to powerbomb him, and Wardlow's music hits. He comes out. Him and Hobbs brawl for a little bit. Wardlow gets a hold of Aaron Solo and powerbombs him off the stage through a table. So I think it's safe to say Wardlow is back. From that, we went to the Wardlow's, man, that dude.
Oh, my God. Hey, like, it's the same thing with freaking Sting. Like, he came back and just immediately brought the exact same gas he had before.
Absolutely.
He literally, like, well, that's what everybody was saying this week when Wardlow came back, is it's reminding everyone of the WWE Attitude Era type things that AEW kind of emphasizes more than the PG era of WWE that we have right now. And Wardlow is just like a culmination of that, and immediately brought that back. Like, immediately brought it.
So we go into our international championship match. You got Orange Cassidy versus Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews, of course, from the House of Black. Those are some big, scary guys. A lot of back and forth in this match. A lot of real powerful moves in this match. Powerful spots. One thing I like to see, there was a time when everybody talked about this move like it was the plague and you have to avoid it at all costs. But Matthews hitting Orange Cassidy with the curb stomp. Gets that in there. In the end, Orange Cassidy wins it with the mousetrap. And, I mean, it was a good match. They go from that to a vignette with Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, where Christian Cage lets us know that things changed. Kind of ominous. I'm waiting to see what that's going to look like. Ethan Page is in the ring. If you were watching last week, we were talking about the fact that there seemed to be a little something going on between Hook and Matt Hardy, trying to figure out what's going on there. But Ethan Page is in the ring and wants answers for what happened. So Matt and Isaiah Cassidy come out and made it known to him that one of the things that was in that contract was if he loses, if Ethan Page lost last week, Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy don't work for him anymore. They're not part of the firm anymore, which makes him very angry. But he says, you're not the only members of the firm. And Big Bill and Lee Moriarty come out, beat on him. Hook comes out to the ring. He's, of course, outnumbered. And then some very, very familiar music hits.
Oh, no.
Jeffrey Nero Hardy returns to AEW.
Nero.
It was so good to see. He comes down to the ring and just absolutely clears it.
Y'all don't even understand. If y'all were here for the debut stream, y'all know that Jeff Hardy holds a very special place in mine and Lil Guapo's heart. And obviously, as soon as we start talking about we said Matt Hardy, and boom, Lil Guapo, there he is.
Yep.
They just knew it was coming. Like that return, I was freaking out when I saw it. I was ecstatic. It was crazy. I called my brother. I was like, look, he's here. He's back. And the one thing that we both had to say that was just a constant is this is the best shape that we've seen him since when he came out and had his title run at WWE.
He looks awesome. I was a little concerned with some of the things he was doing. Something you guys might know is he's recently had eye surgery. A pretty serious eye surgery, but when has that ever stopped Jeff Hardy? So he climbs up on the top rope, hits the swanton. I mean, it was everything you hope to see from a Jeff Hardy return.
Spectacular.
Yes, yeah, the twist of spectacular thing. It was awesome. It was so good to see him back, and he looks great. So I can't wait to see where that goes.
So
I have a feeling we're going to have a Hardy Boys with Isaiah Cassidy versus the Firm kind of thing happening. We went from that into the Blackpool Combat Club versus Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. This one didn't even really get started. I mean, the BCC starts beating on him. It's Mox and Cassidy. I can't even say his name. It's just Cesaro.
Yeah.
We'll call him Cesaro. But they start beating on him before they ever get in the ring. Finally throws Nakazawa in the ring, and they finally ring the bell. And it was just a beatdown. It was an ugly beatdown. So, of course, BCC wins the match, and they call out the Elite. So Kenny Omega comes out on the ramp, and everybody's paying attention to that. So they don't see the Young Bucks come in from the crowd. And they just start waylaying everybody. They've got Mox stuck off in the corner, and he's going to go through. Kenny Omega's coming through just to end it all right here. And one of the Young Bucks stops him and says, hold on. Hands him a screwdriver. Now, you might remember that last week, it was last week or the week before, I'm not sure which, but Bryan Danielson went after Hangman Adam Page with the same screwdriver. So he comes at him, going to stab him with a screwdriver. Of course, he gets out of the ring, and we cut away from the scene with the screwdriver stabbed into the turnbuckle. So this is definitely not over. I'm happy to know that this is gaining momentum. And if they don't end this with
right job, you did.
Look, man, he did though.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I did it. I took that from you.
We got a lot of talking going on from Little Guapo. He can't be here live, but he's definitely blowing us up in the chat, which I love to see. If they don't culminate this Blackpool Combat Club and Elite thing at Wembley with Hangman Adam Page rejoining the Elite, I don't know what.
I didn't even think.
Why are they even doing that?
I didn't even think about that. With all the stuff they have going for them going into Wembley, now Jeff Hardy's back.
Exactly.
Oh my God, they might actually pull this off.
This is something that Little Guapo has said more than once. If they do that, if they set it up to come back at Wembley and have Hangman Adam Page rejoin the Elite, you've got 8 of the best wrestlers in the business in the same match. it's going to be insane. And if they don't do that, why are we even doing this?
Exactly.
So we move on from that. We got Rio and Sky Blue versus the Outcasts, which, outsiders, whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
The Outcasts end up getting the win, and go figure, they spray paint all over everybody like somebody else we know that I think they're kind of copying.
I mean, completely original.
I'm not saying I'm against the thing. It's just they're doing everything so much like the Outsiders that it's turning me away from it. But Jamie Hayter comes out, and of course they circle up on her, and she starts getting beat down. So Dr. Britt Baker comes out and cleans house. So I think they're setting up something there as well. I'd be interested to see where that goes. Which brings us to our main event, which was Chris Jericho versus Keith Lee. I was excited for this match. This is the match I wanted to see, and it was good. I mean, there was a lot of good moves, a lot of good spots in this. There were a couple of questionable ones as well. I think what everybody's talking about from this match, which sucks because it was a good match. I think what everybody's talking about was Keith Lee trying to pick up Jericho for a power bomb and couldn't quite get it done. Took him a little bit. And I hate that takes so much away from the match, and that's what everybody's talking about, because it really was good. And Little Guapo has it right. It was built up as a dream match, and it just didn't live up to it. And I hate that that's the case, but perhaps they will do something to fix that next week. All in all, this was a really great Dynamite. I mean, I'm not gonna go A+ with it, but probably because of the Jericho Keith Lee match and because I'm so sick of the Outcasts. But I'll give it a solid A.
I'll give it an A+. Jeff Hardy said, boom, A+ immediately. What are you talking about?
So one thing about this, it's just, what do you call it, a hot take?
Yeah.
Just my hot take on it. A lot of people are talking about AEW capitalizing on some bad decisions creatively at WWE. One of the things I've noticed every week on AEW is, like this week, we have two title matches. There's a title match every week, and you just don't see that on WWE. I mean, when was the last time you saw a title match on Raw or SmackDown?
Which, I mean, they were supposed to have.
Yeah,
every week.
Sure, you get the occasional one, but I think if they did more with the titles, I think it would help things.
Exactly. Like, and especially a little side note on that. I think that especially has affected Austin Theory the most, because that's what they used to do when he was Vince's golden boy. He had a good bit of title matches to keep building him up as the guy Vince wanted him to be, and now I feel like he's just been less out of the picture, even though he's become a better wrestler.
Austin Theory also one of those this week at Raw that was affected by travel problems, so we didn't get to see him, and that's why. And once again, want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. What's up to everybody watching and listening. Happy to have you here. Glad you decided to join us tonight.
I got to give a little tidbit for Lil Guapo as we're moving on to your section, big guy. So if you have anything to put in.
Oh, the salt is real.
Yeah.
All right. And what is he talking? Oh, hold on. Sammy KO talking about winning Mania 3 week is getting old.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's right. It is getting a little old, and their intro, the promo itself lasted too long. Of course, we're talking about SmackDown Friday night. It started off with Sammy KO coming out to the ring, and they're delivering their promo about winning the titles and how happy they are. And of course, who came out? The Usos.
What?
The Usos came out with Solo, and they're talking about how you're not, you ain't got this. We're going to get our title match, or we're going to get our titles back. Well, the gentleman came out and said, ladies and gentlemen, my name, that's right, it's Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman comes out and starts talking about, I have got authorization from the tribal chief to say there's going to be a match in 2 weeks for the titles. And I can guarantee you're going to lose that. And I'm going to do it the same way he did. If Sammy and KO are standing in front of me and Russ is the Usos, he says, I guarantee you're going to lose those titles because the tribal chief is growing impatient with the both of you. So that's what everybody's been talking about. Is he may have been pointing it at Sammy and KO, but he was looking right at the Usos when he said Roman Reigns is losing patience. So could this be the start of the break of the bloodline?
Oh. Oh no.
So the Usos do the Uso thing and they get Usi and surround the ring. Matt Riddle comes out to even the numbers out and we go to commercial. Our first match of the night, LA Knight, versus Xavier Woods. My wife is watching. She just really got mad. It was a really, really great match. I don't understand why LA Knight and Xavier Woods don't get more push than they do. Xavier always did. I get that, his tag team stablemates are hurt, but Xavier Woods in the ring, and especially against someone like LA Knight, they put each other over so well. It was such a good match.
They are like one of the strongest mid card. Both of them are so deserving of getting more. And about Xavier Woods, and it obviously got people talking because another almost guarantee that the fans had for WrestleMania was Big E coming back. So
thought it was going to happen. He was there. I know he was.
Yeah, it was definitely present. But Xavier Woods coming back and wrestling, where we're just, I got the fans stirring. We gotta see some Big E coming back here soon.
And I think we will see it soon. And I'm going to stop for just a second on SmackDown, go back to AEW for a second. I think Mike's got it right. He says a good draw for Wembley would be MJF versus Sting. I would love to see that. That's dream match status right there. I just don't know if Sting still got it in the tank to take on.
Yeah, I don't want a repeat of the Keith Lee.
I'm not even worried about that. I'm more worried about the Sting Seth Rollins match where he got buckle bombed and then couldn't finish the match, and I don't want to see that happen.
Lil Guapo's got it.
Go ahead.
Xavier Woods and LA Knight. It's impossible to get tired of watching them. They are made to be just how they wrestle, how they are in the squared circle is just they're building whoever's in front of them up, making them look so good. And them together, it's just like he said, they could work a whole half a year program. Unlike Sammy and KO talking about winning the whole time, and it's already getting old 3 weeks later, 3 months into the same exact match format, and nobody would be tired of watching.
Oh, absolutely. And Little Guapo's right in the fact that the buckle bomb thing was Seth's fault. He's been known for hurting some people from time to time, but still, I don't want to see
that's Seth freaking
that happen.
He's doing all right.
So we finished that match up. Great match. It was funny because LA Knight got the pin. He's holding the tights. The ref breaks it up. He starts giving a business to the ref and gets rolled up. Xavier Woods has him for the pin, and what does he do? He grabs the tights. The refs don't see it. I hate to see it. So I'm sure that something's going to become of that. But afterwards, Woods is going through the hall playing the trombone and interrupts Gunther while he's talking to Imperium. You don't interrupt Gunther when he's talking to Imperium. So Gunther tells him, you need to come into the ring where I can teach you respect because you don't know anything about respect. So look forward to seeing that. We went into a match between Damian Priest and Santos Escobar. I've been waiting for something like this. Santos Escobar's got so much talent. That kid is all over the ropes. And the LWO thing, for sentimental reasons, of course, I was happy to see the LWO come back. But this iteration of it is perfect. And I think Little Guapo's talking about it.
Exactly.
The Judgment Day.
Exactly how Lil Guapo said it. I explained this a couple weeks back. Dom's work, the best crowd controlling dude out there right now.
Oh, absolutely. He pisses the crowd off.
He just has the entire arena full of hate when he takes one step. So
he's got the hottest heat.
It has made this LWO and Judgment Day thing so much even better because Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Santos Escobar, that they are all very talented. Like literally everybody there is so talented.
Oh,
And then you
absolutely.
get Dom on top of oh my gosh.
Well, and this is the kind of match I wanted to see because Damian Priest is a great wrestler, no, hands down, no questions asked. But one of the great things about him that I like is his ability to put people over. Damian won this match. I mean, that's just the way it went. He won the match, but the entirety of the match he spent putting Santos Escobar over and showcasing what Santos Escobar can do. And I have a lot of respect for Damian Priest for that. I think it's great. This LWO Judgment Day thing is going to be going on for a little while. I know coffee before the thing.
9 o'clock.
Am I boring you, son?
I don't know about that.
Well, you know what's not boring? The fact that right after this match happened, Shinsuke Nakamura comes back.
Gosh. I'll tell you what, that wasn't boring.
I've been waiting for that. I like. A lot of people don't, but I like Shinsuke Nakamura.
A lot of people.
Yeah, he's a lot of
Not a fan.
people. So Shinsuke Nakamura shows up. He gets a match against Madcap Moss. It was exactly what you want to see in a return match. He got out there and showed that he's still who he is. And Madcap Moss, of course, put up a good fight, but Shinsuke Nakamura is not going to lose his return match. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
And I agree. I'd like to see Rick Boogs come back. That would him and Shinsuke.
I just wasn't a fan of Shinsuke's. I feel like he was way overhyped back when he was in WWE, but before and I kind of got shut up at this match. I'll be completely honest. I was like, bro,
That way you learn.
I mean, there's so many like hype returns that I was ready for seeing Shinsuke Nakamura. I was like, come on, man. But that match, I mean, I can't argue with like it's straight facts. Like it was a great return. It was the best return match. Like you said,
I agree. It was so good.
Return match. Like,
and I really feel like they're moving to hit the returns one right after the other. Shinsuke's back. Riddle's back. Shinsuke's back. Orton's going to come back. Big E's going to come back. AJ Styles is going to come back. And they're just going to start hitting them one right after the other. And that's a good move, in my opinion.
Well, the women's who did what's her name? The one with Bray Wyatt.
Oh,
I completely forgot her name.
Yeah, you done threw me off. I wasn't prepared.
I bet Lil Guapo's got it, so he'll come in the chat here. Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, Alexa Bliss coming back.
She's going to come back soon.
She was there for a couple of it, but we'll get the full in-ring return of Ronda Rousey because she's still, nursing a broken arm.
So yeah, I mean, maybe I didn't even think about it like you're saying now. Maybe they are because so far these past two returns have been great. So maybe them not bringing back our big guys was the right move. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see how that one goes, and then of course that takes us into our main event, which is Matt Riddle versus Solo Sikoa, and I was all kinds of excited for this match. I said it earlier, Solo Sikoa's got a rocket strapped to his back. This kid is going to be great. And Matt Riddle is Matt Riddle. He never puts on a bad match. So putting them in the ring together, it was exactly what it sounds like it was going to be. It was action all the way through it. It was...
I'm sorry. You said it was exactly what you thought it'd be. And as soon as you said that, Lil Guapo, bloodline interference.
Well, I said it was exactly what you thought it would be. As the bloodline interferes, and I think Solo hits the spike and wins the match, but it was the after the match that really got me. They brawled it out, and instead of throwing Matt Riddle on the announce table, he threw Matt Riddle down and threw the announce table on him. Like flipped the announce table over on him.
You don't see that.
Insanity. But all in all, I mean, SmackDown was good. It was a little few too many matches for my taste, but I mean, you've got to have somewhere where you're building storylines. So I get it. All in all, I'm going to give SmackDown this week. I give it an A-. It was decent.
I would give it an A because I think it was better than Raw, but me personally, I just thought all around it was better because there wasn't anything bad about SmackDown this week. Like I know there was a couple of shaky things going on in Raw, but for SmackDown, it was just I mean, have to put it above Raw. All in all, very good week in wrestling.
It was. It has been a good week in wrestling. And one more time, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody watching. If you haven't done it yet, and most of you have, but if you haven't done it yet, go over and hit that follow button. We always, love to get new followers. That way you find out anytime we're doing anything. But now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for.
I gotta stop you real quick. Gotta appreciate everybody in the chat for talking to us and just something y'all might not know. Y'all really helping us out. Our past about 2 weeks ago, we had an average like 6 or 7 viewers, and now today we've been going 8 or 9. So I really appreciate y'all coming out and supporting us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And now, the moment everybody's been waiting for. It's time to bring him in. He is the executive producer and booker for Squared Circle Pro. He's also the co-host of Heck Yeah Radio, show on Heck Yeah Radio. You've been waiting for him. We've been waiting for him. If you've ever been to a Squared Circle Pro show, you've been able to see him. I'm just making him do the drum roll longer. That's my whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Elsey.
Yeah!
Welcome to the show. What's up, Rick?
There he is.
Just chilling here with my buddy Cooper.
It's Cooper.
Oh,
what's up, Cooper?
We got the guy. I don't know if you're seeing this on your end, Rick, but we got a little like we got a filter on you right now. So we got the guy working on that. So apologies.
No, I can't see you. I can't see you guys, but I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay.
Well, first things first, Rick. Thanks for being on the show. Of course, we're happy to have you here. Happy to have you telling us about everything going on with Squared Circle Pro.
Well, there's a lot going on. Anybody that was at our last show knows that currently right now I am on the tail end of my convalescence. I had a little mishap at spring break. But you can still see some of it on my head. But things are going to be fine. But I do want you to know that if you come to an SCP show, especially on May 20th at Tornado Slam, there will be the announcement of a new interim GM because I am stepping away from the product, and I am basically moving to a backstage permanent role. I will not be out in front of the crowd. I think I've had my fill for a while. So there will be a new interim general manager that will be announced that night. I will still be at the show. I will just not be in a visible capacity.
Okay. Well, breaking hearts out here, man.
We really are. I was not ready to start off with that.
Well,
I mean, those of you who were at spring break, I mean, well, let's be honest. I got my ass handed to me. So I think that's enough for a little bit.
Well, for those of you that weren't there, and you'll have to forgive me that I don't remember the wrestler's name, but this huge Captain Caveman looking guy came out, and him and Rick got into it, and blood was shed. We'll put it like that.
That would be the Manimal.
Yes, the Manimal. Yeah. Just vicious. So we've got Tornado Slam coming up May the 20th at Jake's, and I kind of went over the card earlier. It's going to be a good card.
Yeah, it should be. We're still working on some stuff. There's going to be more matches than what you announced, but awesome. I can tell you that as far as people that will be there, that I know that we've signed for the show, but may not currently have a match ready to announce. Our pay-per-view champion Gino Rivera will be there. All of Fate International will be at the show. Chris Watson will be there. Draven Reeves, Jeb Bingham, We'll have Misty Marks in the women's division. Miss Kath is returning from Mexico. We are going to have Anastasia Morningstar in the building. SOS is debuting from out of Phoenix, Arizona. So she'll be there. Some of the regulars, Brian Rivera, Rob Boris will be there. Gabriel Alexander is scheduled for the event. We've got Olive La Migra, of course, our mainstays. Enrique Delgato will be making his return. He was at Pieces for Quitters last year. Enclair, the luchador, will also be there. Bam Bam Malone has been signed for the show. I mean, it's a huge event.
Stacked. Tell you what.
Yeah, I mean, so the last show we went to, that alone, like, Little Guapo said it best, I think. There was a couple of times we weren't sure we weren't going to get hit by a chair. So some of these matches, there's a couple of the grudge matches and anything goes match. I'm looking forward to seeing where these go, because the intensity that these guys get when they get in the ring is just unmatched.
It really is.
Well, one of the things that sets SCP apart from many of the other wrestling promotions in West Texas is number one, we do operate out of a bar. We are the only wrestling promotion in West Texas that openly promotes themselves as not family friendly. We have a parental advisory on everything that we do. Now, there are parents who bring children, and that's their prerogative. But it's a bar again. And we also do not have guardrails at SCP. If the action spills out, you hear the wrestlers yell "move." I would recommend
you
better move.
And that happens more often than you might think.
Well, it's one of our trademarks. Is one of our trademarks is controlled chaos, and you get more of that at SCP than you do at the other promotions. I've had people come to me, and I've had people tell me this feels like old world-class championship wrestling. It feels like championship wrestling from Florida. It feels like 80s Jim Crockett Promotions. It feels like ECW. I've had people say those things, and those are all very flattering things. And it does my heart good to hear that people enjoy it in that manner, because that's how I try to portray the show. I'm 52, and my first wrestling match was it was 1977. And my first experience was watching Andre the Giant back when he had the fro and could move, face the original Sheik and brawl all over the sports arena here in Amarillo, bleeding all over the place, throwing fire, stabbing people with pencils, throwing chairs. I was 6 years old, and it scared the hell out of me. But at the same time, it influenced what I love in wrestling, which is Southern style storytelling, along with very physical in-ring, credible in-ring. And I need everything to kind of make sense, and I need it to be congruent and not seem haphazard. One thing that I don't like about a lot of indie wrestling, and it's not to say that it doesn't have its fans, but there's a lot of randomness on the independent scene. And for me, that's not my style. Everything that we do at SCP is done for a reason, and it all means something. And that's because I won't have it any other way.
Well, and watching the show, you can see the influence of some of the old bookers. You can see some Kevin Sullivan in that. You can see some Dusty Rhodes. I mean, just the way the storylines come together, the way the wrestlers interact with each other in the crowd, you see a lot of that. So I definitely get where you're coming from there.
Lil Guapo really said it best. One, he said that you give him a call and he'll handle the manimal. So just let him know. But he said it with like articulated it perfectly. The matches are great. but the story is why we're really tuning into it. Is why we want you on the show, as because you guys do the story side. You know, you give indie wrestling not just, as he said, two people just jumping on each other. You give it a reason behind those leaps.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it do a great job of it.
Well, and the reason that we film it and stream it is because it needs to be presented as a viewable product because it's written like a television show,
Right.
and that's the way I put things together. And it's a little peel behind the curtain, but I painstakingly work to make sure that when you are watching the show that you have your peaks and valleys, and you have a chance to cool down, chance to heat up. We start with something hot, we end with something hot. But I want all the title matches to have credibility. I That's another reason why when it comes to title matches, if you watch my product for enough time, you will notice that most of my title holders are credible in-ring competitors. I don't really
Absolutely.
put my belts on gimmicks. I don't put my belts on flash in the pan type of personas, because I feel like, again, you know, the major companies pulled the curtain back a long time ago. And once the cat's out of the bag, it's hard to put the cat back in. But the way that I look at it, and I try to express this as much as I can to the wrestlers, is that regardless of who knows what, they're still paying for the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that they want to escape. And if they want to escape, then let's let them escape and not slap them in the face with "this is art." Let's not slap them in the face with "this is theater." Let's let them escape. And that's one of the things about a lot of televised mainstream wrestling that I do not enjoy, and that is how much they lean into "this is a show." And I don't like it because I'm not from that era. And it really drives me crazy. And it's one of the reasons why I roll my eyes at so much televised wrestling.
Well, and and this is something you and I have discussed before. It's the relatability, the ability to relate to why this wrestler is mad at this wrestler, as opposed to, it's just a match thrown together. And that's part of what I enjoy because I'm from the same era of wrestling as you are. I grew up watching WCCW, and like I mentioned before, like Kevin Sullivan and Paul Heyman, um, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, they knew how to book something that you would sink your teeth into, and it was good TV. And we've kind of moved away from that. I don't know if it's the move to the PG era or if it's just a change in the culture as far as the bigger promotions go, but it would be great to see it move back to that.
I really think it's a mixture. We moved to the PG era because the society's like, hey, we gotta chill out. There's too much, hurting people, all that.
I don't even, and I don't agree with that, because I
Really?
believe we moved to the PG era because the promotions discovered that there were sponsors that wanted to spend money. And more times than not, if you're a major multi-million dollar sponsor, you're going to sponsor a cleaner, crisper product. And when you've got WWE having matches at WrestleMania that Snickers is doing, and Cinnamon Toast
Cinnamon
Crunch,
Toast Crunch.
and you're talking about companies investing millions of dollars in a match. Are they going to do it at a show that is crisp and clean and sanitized? Or are they going to do it at a show where 3 minutes into the match, somebody's got a fork in their face and they're bleeding to death? I mean, you've got to
Good
look
point.
at, there's so many times fans will immediately jump on Oh, it's too clean. That's not what we want. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, the promotions have to make some money, and
Right.
they're going to make more money with a cleaner product. I can absolutely guarantee you, even looking at the indie scene in West Texas, here's the deal. I run out of Jake's back room. We have a capacity in that building of 300 people. We only have 150 chairs. So if we're going to have a capacity, it's going to be standing room, and they're going to be standing for 4 hours. You've got Rampage that books a building that's got a capacity of nearly 1,500. You've got South Plains in La Mesa just last night drew 300 people at a Boys and Girls Club. But here's the deal. At my show, you've been to my show, you see what we do. There's people who say, why isn't your show at, a place that will hold 400 or 500 people, or maybe 1,000 to 1,500 people? Couldn't you put people? Maybe I could, but here, my product is a harder sell because I'm not selling to families, but that's my choice. But other places that draw bigger are selling to families. They are selling, and that's where the money is. So if a sponsor is going to spend money, I mean, they're going to have to make that choice. And more times than not, sanitized wrestling is where the money is. And I think that that's
Right.
the bottom line when it comes to PG.
And I hadn't thought about it that way, and I
Yeah.
think you're absolutely right. And Little Guapo said in the chat that little nod to Jerry Lawler in this, saying sponsorships don't want to sponsor a bunch of puppies bouncing around.
It's a different time period. You got to remember, Attitude was going on when the top rated TV show in the country was Jerry Springer.
Yep.
The top rated radio show was Howard Stern. It's the time period. And for everything that AEW brings to the table when it comes to the harder edged, the more violent, things like that, at the end of the day, you have to remember that Tony Khan is spending equal amounts of money as to what WWE is spending on the publication of his product, the stream of his product, the broadcast of his product. He's got a full roster, but because of the kind of wrestling he chooses to put on, he can't draw regularly 1 million people a week. And it's because he is in a niche product at his choice, and that's fine. He's owning it. But at the end of the day, when you look at the numbers are directly affected by the kind of product he's putting on. And he's putting on a niche product for a group of people who like a specific type of wrestling, but they are not the majority of casual fans that are watching other programs at 1.2, 1.4, 2.0, 2.4 million people.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory.
And I do completely agree with that. And I also, it's just really honestly explained your product even more. That I have respect for both you and of course Tony Khan, because you're right. Wrestling in itself, we have our whole podcast with, we got about 60 followers, which very thankful for all 60 of y'all. Just gonna let you know that are all fans of this wrestling. Where I mean, a lot of people that I try to talk to come watch the stream, they're like, man, UFC's better. So even in that, wrestling's already a very niche thing. And then under that, you and Tony Khan are taking on the minority group in, the more rougher things, the more attitude era esque things, and especially with our social climate right now, I have to pay my respects to the both of y'all for holding to your own creative choices, because instead of painting it as a theatrical presence, y'all are
Yeah.
y'all are changing the art to be producing what you want, as opposed to what you're producing is the art. It's the art is producing. That's what y'all change it. What both you and Tony Khan change it to, and I mean, like I said, I have to respect that. It's a very amazing thing.
Well, and it's a big passion of mine. I mean, I've loved it since I was a child, and the fact that I get to do this is amazing. It's an amazing gift and a blessing, and it's something that I really enjoy. But I will tell you this: the longer you get to know me, and the more that you watch what I do, it's kind of an oxymoron. As much as I love to put on a product for fans, wrestling fans in general are probably my least favorite people. And that's just because it's so tribalistic, and they're never happy,
Ain't
and
that the truth?
it's social media. I mean, like, I was joking with John, and I wanted to run this down real quick, that I came up with the what I call the 10 stages of markdom for wrestling fans, that will show you kind of how wrestling fans view things and how frustrating it is for people on the back end. So if you'd like for me to run through these real quick, I will, because I think
Absolutely.
you'll find them pretty entertaining. I would start off. The first stage is hype of the event. Wrestling fans hype things up like nobody else. Okay, they will hype it all day long. Stage two is the expectation of outcome, because with the hype, they will tell you. I can tell you right now, this is exactly what's going to happen. This is my expectation. This is exactly what's going to happen. Number three is the shock at the result when they're wrong. The absolute shock that it didn't go down exactly the way that we thought it would.
Cody and Roman.
Stage four.
Ain't that the truth?
Stage four, irrational anger. Like that, you would think it's the end of the world because this worked result didn't happen the way that we wanted it to.
It's
Okay.
literally WrestleMania 39.
Stage five, social media outrage. I am now going to hop on this Twitter machine, and I'm going to tell everybody what I think about it. Okay. Stage six, podcast diving. I'm going to go listen to podcasters and dirt sheet guys, and I'm going to find the people that I agree with, and I'm going to sit and stew and listen to all the junk, and I'm going to immerse myself in it, and then lead myself directly into stage seven when I start parroting all the conspiracies that I've heard. That bear in mind, there's no proof of at all. But I'm going to start parroting all of these conspiracies to anybody who will listen, to make myself feel like I know what's going on. Number eight is actually a two-stage stage. It's an A and a B. First, we get the actual revelation of facts, when somebody who knows the real story will actually tell you the real story. But then we immediately doubt that truth because it doesn't sound as good as the conspiracy we heard before. Okay. And then stage nine, once we've had a chance to kind of reflect and breathe, we start our personal bargaining with our options. What do we have available to us? How will this make us feel better about it? And then once we come to a decision, we have finally hit stage 10, which is the acceptance of the new direction. We're back on board, which will start us right back to the hype of the event, and we'll repeat the entire process over again. But nowhere in those 10 stages did you ever hear that we had a good time or we enjoyed anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle, and it's something we talked about a little bit last week and the week before. It really drives me crazy to listen to people, and Little Guapo put this in the chat. You know, if it was me, you should have done that. Or, you know, if it was me, I'd have done it like this, or why didn't they do this? Because that's what I would have done. And it's real easy to say that sitting on your ass on the couch. But
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's sports, like taking WWE, for instance, it's sports entertainment, and people leave off that entertainment part because take the one that's gotten the most hell is the Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes match. It didn't turn out the way people wanted it to. Everybody thought Cody should win, but there's not a second of that match that I was not entertained.
But here's what I want to find out from you guys, because I listened to you talk about it. I was present in the chat when you talked about it.
Right.
And here's what I'd like for you to reveal to me. I want to see what you think now.
Okay.
We are 2 weeks out of that. 3 weeks out of that. We're a good ways out. We're headed towards Backlash. We've had a couple of promos. We've had a new angle start. Listening to the crowd, do you honestly believe that that loss hurt Cody at all?
I do not.
Okay. And
I
now,
also
with that
don't.
being said, on the heels of what happened, did you watch the Dusty Rhodes biography?
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
All right. I highly recommend that you watch it and pay close attention to the point when they start talking about Dusty winning his third NWA title from Ric Flair at the Great American Bash in 1986, because there was a good period of time between his second title run and his third title run, and the distance between those two was all the feud with the Horsemen. That was all the feud with the Horsemen, building up to the moment when he won his third title. And Cody said the perfect thing. The reason that the crowd got so excited for the win, because they play the tape and you can hear the people lose their mind when Dusty beats Ric Flair. The reason they went so crazy was because they got to go on the journey. Key point,
Yes.
journey. Cody came back at WrestleMania last year and started a feud with Seth Rollins that was cut short by a pectoral injury, and then he won the Royal Rumble, which granted him a reward of a championship. Where was the journey?
Exactly.
We haven't seen it yet. Now we're going to see the journey. And now when he wins, and trust me, they wouldn't have brought him back if he wasn't going to win that title. When he wins it, it will be monstrous. And everyone who was moaning and complaining and whining 3 weeks ago will be standing on their feet cheering and not understanding, well, why is this happening? Because that's the way it was designed, you crazy people.
So I have to put this out there. I'm not sure if I said it on the podcast, but I know me and Lil Guapo were talking about it. We both had, I mean, your 10 stages right there were me and him both for WrestleMania 39, especially that ending match. But we talked it out, and my one issue with Cody Rhodes was I felt like he had a bunch of hype for, I don't want to say no reason, because he deserves it. I mean, he was like the underdog to end all underdogs. But I just felt like him beating this monster of a man as the tribal chief Roman Reigns, it just didn't feel
Where was the story?
appreciated. So you explaining it as you did, like, is exactly what the people need to hear, is what the average marks around need to understand, is that if you just peel behind the surface a little bit, there wasn't that much of a build for Cody to deserve to beat such a monumental champion. So us waiting right now, yes, I was very upset on
Yes, he
WrestleMania
was.
39, but once the whole Brock which I'm not a big fan. I like that Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes have a feud. I feel like they completely rushed the build up to that, and I'm not a fan of that. But however, that's what we need. We need to see Cody Rhodes be the underdog, get defeated, and come back and make it, as Lil Guapo said on the podcast last week, undeniable. Nobody can refute it that he is the new champion.
Well, and that's the thing. Again, Cody's going to be the guy that beats Roman. It's just a matter of when. But in the meantime, what Roman's bigger story is the collapse of the bloodline, because it all started with Roman and Jay.
Yep.
And it's going to end with Roman and Jay.
Ain't that the truth?
That's been the story from the beginning. But I think, you guys were talking earlier about Solo a lot and what he's got going on. I would like to point one thing out, and I don't know if you guys are big NXT watchers or not, but when NXT 2.0 first started up and Solo Sikoa made his original debut, it was by vignette. They played a vignette for him, and he said in the vignette, one of his lines was, he was tired of eating scraps from the table.
Ooh.
And
When
that
is
when
that?
he said it, I was actually watching it at home with my mother, and I looked at her and I was like, he's going to be the guy who ends up screwing over Roman Reigns. Because all Roman could do was talk about at that time, head of the table, head of the table, head of the table. Solo was like, I'm tired of eating scraps ahead of the table. With Roman's issues with the Usos and Paul Heyman doing the side look at him that you guys were talking about, who's been the guy that Roman has been leaning on for this whole time? It's been Solo.
He's been the
yes,
servant.
he's been the guy. I'm telling you, when it's time for the Usos to pull the trigger and the bloodline to implode, it's going to be Solo who pulls the trigger on Roman, and Jay will win head of the table from Roman. That's exactly how that will go down.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. SCP Rick has the not your average Mark stamp on this. What am I trying to say?
You get our seal of approval on that storyline
for what he thinks going to happen. I'm sorry, I lost the word there. And this goes great with exactly what Lil Guapo just said about this dream scenario for Cody Rhodes, is that it would be, Cody beats Roman at SummerSlam, and then that gives time, already all this buildup happens, and now it's time to focus on the bloodline. Roman lost his title, the imploding is going to happen, and right after that, Seth Rollins wins Money in the Bank, cashes it in, takes the belt off of Cody. Now we have something into Mania for WrestleMania 40. We have our big story. We have our big story where it's coming to a close with the bloodline imploding, and we have this other story of the underdog coming all the way back to full circle where it started. You don't see that in well, actually, that's exactly what you see in underdog stories. Where the person who took him the pegs down, he's built back up, and now he's coming back to where it all began with Seth freaking Rollins. The Jay and Solo are coming back to where it started with Roman Reigns, and I think I don't know. We discussed it, the possibility of Solo, but I feel like you articulated it perfectly. That I think Solo Sikoa, I like that becoming the end goal is, in my opinion, the best way to make it happen.
You mentioned something a minute ago that kind of got me thinking. You talked about Seth Rollins coming in and kind of messing with Cody and maybe doing a title switch. Think about it a little deeper. When Seth Rollins was the champion and he was the crowning jewel of the authority back in the day, who was the other guy that was involved in that with Seth? Randy Orton.
Randy Orton.
Who is one of Cody's best friends? Randy
Orton. Make himself.
When Randy Orton comes back, who do you think he's going to feud with? Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And when Seth and Randy are on the same page, do you think it's possible that maybe they get a little bit of help from one of Randy's former mentors, and Ric Flair, who was the leader of a little group called, the Four Horsemen? And who was their enemy? Dusty Rhodes. All sounds very familiar.
You just blew his mind.
Oh my gosh. And oh my gosh, if Seth and Randy are part of a new Horseman influenced by Flair and they're feuding with Cody, how did Dusty and the Horsemen end their feud? And what kind of a contraption? Oh, wait a minute, that's the War Games. Do you think that all of this stuff is not going to happen? Come on, guys.
Oh my! You just blew his entire mind. It's great. I love it.
Wow.
Wrestling booking. And I'll give you a little bit of it's much of a lesson than I can tell you right now. The best wrestling booking is when you do simple arithmetic. 1 + 1 should always equal 2. When you try to make it equal 5, that's when your show sucks.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm going to stop for just a second and say what's up to Camino. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the chat. I hope you just caught all of that, because that was gold.
Holy moly!
Wow!
I'm telling y'all, that is like we're putting the big stamp on it here, episode 11. This is like what we're gonna come back to this come about a year from now, post WrestleMania 40, when Randy Orton and Seth Rollins are putting Cody down, and I mean that That is, and I really hate for it to be at this time when we got 5 minutes, so we got to close. But that right there may have been the I've heard Guapo, I've heard Lil Guapo both have little revelations from the wrestling gods. Like I don't even think they put it in your brain. I think they just put it straight in your mouth. Like
that is the wrestling god.
Yeah, it's you. That's thank you for your time. Gave us that tidbit of wow.
It really is cool to think about that.
You know, one of the things that the guys at the Heck Yeah Radio always get mad at me about is that right around WrestleMania, like 2 or 3 weeks before Mania, I will present my WrestleMania fantasy booking, like how I would do it. And every time they listen, they're always like, well, Rick's ruined another WrestleMania for us.
Well, Rick, again, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It's been awesome talking with you.
Thank you.
It's been an awesome revelation.
On May 20th.
Absolutely, we will be there.
I'm at a loss for words right now.
That doesn't happen to him.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, look, I love talking wrestling. Anytime you guys want to talk wrestling, you get with me. I could talk about it all day.
Well, we'll absolutely have you back on. As always, Russ, final thoughts?
Guys, come watch SCP, man. Have y'all not just heard this guy? Like this man knows what he's talking about. So if all of this has not shown that SCP Rick does not know his stuff when it comes to wrestling booking, then I don't know what does. So y'all come out, Tornado Slam. I think that it's been a great week in wrestling, and as you've already explained, I'm very excited to look forward to it. And I hope we can talk with you, Rick, more, maybe with some Labor 12 in the background. Just gotta shout out y'all one more time. Thank you so much.
So
thank you.
We've talked to him. So Rick, now we're going to jump to you. Do you have any final thoughts for the evening?
Hey, look, I just thank you so much for having me on. I love talking about wrestling. It's always fun. It's a passion of mine. Independent wrestling is where it's at, guys. Go watch it. If it's in your area, go support it. The future stars of tomorrow are wrestling in your town today. So go check them out. SCP's next event, Tornado Slam, Jake's Back Room, Lubbock, Texas. That's going to be on May 20th. Tickets will be on sale at the door, $10 all ages. It is a parental advisory. It is a bar show. It's an adult show, so keep that in mind when your kids are concerned. We will be streaming the event also on heckyeahradio.com if you cannot make it to the building. But it's going to be a really good show. Doors will open at 5:30, usually runs till about 10 o'clock. There will be a Facebook Live match that will air for free prior to the show starting. But lots of big stuff, lots of stuff going on, guys. Tornado Slam is going to be where we kick off the summer.
And we can't wait for that. If our last trip to Squared Circle Pro was any kind of sign, this is going to be outstanding. As far as me for final thoughts, I hate to hear that you're moving back behind the scenes, although, for my little SC prick thing, and maybe that means I get out of the body slam for that. So yay. It really has been a great week in wrestling. It was really awesome talking with you and getting your insights into things. And we really need to do this again soon. Thank you to the chat. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you to Ross and Labor 12 for our music. And Rick, thank you to you for bringing it all to us.
Hey, you're very welcome. Again, thank you so much for having me on. I had a great time.
As always, if you have Rick said it, or maybe Russ here said it, if you get the chance to see live independent wrestling, take those chances, and you can get those May the 6th at BCW Head Games. You can get those May the 20th at Squared Circle Pro Tornado Slam. We will see you there. We'll be live we'll be live on the show for BCW, and we'll be in attendance for Squared Circle Pro. So, again, thank you all for being here. And as always, we are not your average marks. See y'all next week.
Yeah.